All right, let's be honest. We all knew that inflation was going to make a return. It's just how the market was going to react. So today was absolute slaughter for the miners, for the markets also. But that's the one thing I wasn't sure about. How will the miners react if the market goes down? Now, this was more of an inflation move rather than rather than the miners reacting to the markets. So the most sensitive areas were commodities, you could say, things related to inflation. And normally, in a standard world, you'd have commodities going up. In fact, everything going up because inflation is here, it's going to pick up, so prices should be reflected in all goods and services. But anyway, we know we're in the opposite world. And we know why the market goes down because they expect fewer rate cuts and maybe even rate hikes to resume if inflation comes back. And I always said that inflation is going to come back. We all know, inflation at 2-3% is ridiculous. That's the bottom. It's going to pick back up and reach the old highs or test the old highs, maybe make new highs. So, but the idea of all the rate cuts going off the table, maybe, but that they're going to hike rates even more, I don't think they can. I mean, they should try, but they'll never get rates hiked higher than the real inflation rate. Anyway, whatever. The dollar went up, yields went up, everything else went down. The dollar now you can see firmly, it was kind of bullish, wasn't it? We went up here as soon as we took this out, closed above this, like up here, we could see it touch this resistance, this 104.5 or 6. That was nice. Came back down to retest the old area, and now we closed above. So what's the resistance? I added this little descending. I can't believe I missed it. But you have this descending. Honestly, normally it would play a role, but just looking at the way the chart is, looking how close we were to touching it, I just feel like we want to break out of it. So it's almost as if there's no point in putting it, but I do think it's relevant. So who knows, if we do have a little touch and come back down, then it's relevant. But if we just tomorrow, for example, and I do think we're going to continue higher, I don't really see why we would just go down. I mean, anything's possible, but I do feel like it wants to go up again. And now that everyone's got it in their mind that inflation's coming back, why not go a little higher to 106? So watch out, DXY to 106 is definitely possible. Then you got the 107 high from before. Who knows? Can we get back up there? We could probably test it. Can we close above it? Who knows? So I've just added that level. So yeah, just watch out. 106 is definitely in the cards. Yields will probably corroborate that. Look at that. I feel like the 30 years the most important one these days. Look at this. It closed. Okay. It closed above this all important resistance. It was the last high. So in that respect, the yields are sort of, they're following the dollar, and the dollar's following yields, whatever. They're moving in lockstep. And I don't see, and I've said this a long time ago, I don't see much resistance on the 30-year. I mean, maybe 4.7, but otherwise higher. 4.6. I don't know, every 10 basis point increment. So yields look good. The 10-year is at resistance, so maybe you'll get a bit of sideways action in the 10-year tomorrow. So maybe that'll halt everyone's advance in the yields. So the 10-year is really at, in my opinion, at least it was prior resistance. Here it's not so obvious, but I have to admit it was a bit of a level before. The 5-year's taken out this little level, onwards and upwards, probably to the next level. So you see what I mean? Across the board, look at the 2-year. There's no resistance until up here. So some of them are at resistance, some of them have resistance a little higher. So overall, on average, yields want to go up. Even the 1-year, look at that, took out this triple, quadruple top breakout. Yields want to go higher. That'll help the dollar up. Now, let's check gold and silver. The gold closed below 2000. Everyone knows that's a bit of a psychological blow. I think today, who cares about gold being below 2000? If you're in the miners, you're interested in how much you got slaughtered there. Gold being underneath 2000 by $8 is no big deal. For me, the next support, really the only support is 1975-ish. So given where the dollar and yields want to go, which is a little bit higher, that would kind of coincide perfectly with 1975-ish gold. So maybe there's that to look forward to. Silver did okay. I mean, it's a bad day for the miners, but silver, 2.5%, not great. But look, let's hold this just, look, it touched 22, closed above it. Now, if gold goes to 1975, let's see if we might dip our toes below this support level. I think it's support, but let's see if we can close above it on that 1975 day if it happens. But you've got to, consider maybe closes below, and if it does, what's next? Well, this ascending. Okay, this very important ascending. So for me, you're going to have a lot of support around 21, plus you've got this little level here, which is just below 21. So 21, very strong, I'm going to say it. But also just below 22, which is kind of where we were testing today. Let's see, maybe silver not outperforms, yeah, outperforms gold on the next drop, because I think gold will go to 1975 and maybe silver just sort of holds this level. Let's see where it goes. But we need to start looking at some downside targets. Gold, by the way, just in case it loses 1975, what's next? Oof, I don't know, 1940, 1935, you see? Between 1930 and 1940, I'll say 1930 is a bit of an average, but you see what I mean? Then we've got this ascending, but we're far from there. So those are the two targets on gold, two targets on silver on the way down. On the way up, it's just going to be price support. So 2000, that's kind of easy. If we go up again, probably where we dropped from 2020, maybe on gold, and on silver. We'll look at the miners in a second. On silver, it's not as obvious. Maybe 2250. I don't know. I'm not sure where resistance would be. I guess the old highs up here. 23 definitely, just below 23. Okay, let's check the miners because that's where the action really took place. Let's start with GDX. Let's start with GDX actually. So look at this. First of all, that was kind of perfect. The old low from down here, October, we touched it, we closed above it. We didn't close at the low of days, so that's okay. But it was an absolute slaughter. We were kind of holding this level, right? Look at that nice close there. It looks like a Newmont's candle, like a double bottom attempt. Looked good, but bam, straight away, news, down you go. Gap down. I mean, serious gap down, right? That's your close on Friday, opens here and just touches the absolute level perfectly. So this level is still support. If we lose it, I don't know about this level here. I mean, it's very, very, you know what? I don't know. I don't know. What was it before? 25. I see why I put it. It's kind of a rough resistance. You know what? I'm going to replace it just because the number and because the level below that is too big, too far away. 20, just below 24. I can see that. I'm going to leave these in. These were actually quite well placed, and we've come down so much. So even if we do drop, if we are to drop some more, another 2-3%, I can imagine some oversold bouncing. So maybe 25 is a good level for GDX, and below that 24. I think that'll do for now because we've come down a lot. So the idea of going lower than that, I don't think so. GDXJ, look at that, didn't actually touch its support from October. So I don't know if you want to call it outperforming, but it's not weaker. It's not weaker, also closed off its lows, not at low of day, so it's still support, a bit like GDX. This level of October remains support. If we are to lose it, I guess this would be the equivalent GDX before the gap starts, and also quite a decent, it's near 30. So yeah, let's call that. And then after that is the gap. I don't know, the gap close, maybe. Let's not overdo it. There you go. That's what I'm looking at on GDXJ on the way down. Still, I'm not covering the way up. The way up will just be prior support, right? So if we were to go back up, then where we opened, so 32, 33, or maybe even just above that to close the gap here. So, prior support, this kind of area becomes resistance, obviously. Same goes for all the other SILJ. Look at that. Touches the October low. My God, we were here like 2 weeks ago. Closes off low of day. Very nice, very nice. Very technically perfect, let's say. Clear support. So resistance is prior support all the way up here in this little gap fill. If we are to lose this, my goodness me, not as obvious. Honestly, I would look at gold, silver, and the GDX, GDXJ. But just from a quick note, I guess 750. Well, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to keep this one a bit empty. I don't want to redo because it's probably going to look the exact same as GDXJ and GDX as it does now. So those charts kind of cover that. Okay, the only note I will add to that is how slaughtered some of the miners were. However, I finally bought SSRM. right? This was the silver lining for me. Now, I wanted to buy SSRM, and I was even talking about it here. My God, I'm so lucky I didn't. There's a lot of luck involved in investing, trading, you could say. Here it's looking good, it was outperforming literally just before today. So Friday, I remember doing the video, it was like this or whatever. And I was thinking for a breakout. And I cover it in my last portfolio update as I've been doing for the last maybe 2-3 weeks. And I thought it's a good stock. I listened to no, I read an article from one of the people I read on Seeking Alpha, very, very persuasive. It's dirt cheap, mid-tier producer, good balance sheet, good history of buying back shares, good dividends. They kind of made the case of it being better than Pan American Silver to some extent. So I was sold on that because I love Pan American Silver, which by the way I added to today. Remember, I didn't add anything last week, so I kind of dodged a bullet because I'm in the middle of a bit of a transfer, but I am still capable of buying before transferring my shares from one account to another. Um, but I didn't, yeah, my holdings, I was saying my holdings were still in line. They weren't light, but after today's move, they became light enough to add some more. So I like the discipline I showed. And it definitely, I was enjoying buying. That's one psychological benefit of having cash on the sidelines. And I've still got decent amount of cash on the sidelines. So even though I think this is absolutely ridiculous, dirt cheap, I know that it can go lower than I think. And that's just pure experience of being slaughtered in the past. So, you know, probably all the way up here, GDXJ can go up maybe 20, 30, 40%, and you still think it's dirt cheap, but it can always be cut in half, just like this stock was today. SSRM cut in half. Why? Because, and you can find the videos on Twitter. One of its mine collapsed in Turkey, and there's 9 people that lost absolutely nothing you can foresee. This is just horrible news, no way to predict it. And there's the video, it's just a mine collapsing and just all this water flowing downhill, and people are saying there's going to be some poisonous. It's horrible. I mean, I don't want to say 50% is justified, but it's not some small collapsing mine. It's really bad. But this stock is supposed to be a steal down here, and it is. I mean, just look at the chart. This is a well-established mine with a huge history. I've known it for ages. And if it's supposed to be better than Pan American Silver over here, I'm getting a 50% discount. So I added, I was buying this at 460, then it started to move up. I bought a little bit at 480, then it came back down. I bought a little bit more at 460, then it went to 430, and then I actually got the low at 378. So I'm happy about that. But my average is like 440 or something. Basically, I'm just about in the green at the close. Whatever. The point is, I wanted to buy this. I was saying I wanted to buy it, and today I bought it. And I'm just really happy to own this stock at an extremely cheap price. Now, I think, the mine collapse on a day like today is just, you get it extra cheap. It can still go lower. There's normally a 3-day rule, but I think, I mean, look, it hit the level. Look, it hit my target. Absolute support. And if you go to the weekly chart, you can see, several areas here. It was the low down here. So basically it hit support and I'm just owning it. So yeah, you'll see me. I mean, I've been covering SSRM for a while now, but now I really own it. And actually, it's my heaviest holding. I went a bit too, I don't usually do this, but I just got a bit excited. And basically, it's worth more than Barrick Gold, which was my heaviest holding otherwise. So I'm not going to go through all the miners. They all got slaughtered. I'll do my portfolio update hopefully on Friday or Saturday this time instead of keeping it late. Let's just look quickly at them. Look at that. Newmont just flushed to new lows. I mean, I covered all these levels in my portfolio update. We're now below COVID. It's ridiculous. The next level, obvious level is 30. I don't think we get there. That's like 8% drop or something. But look, if gold starts collapsing to 1940, even there, 80% is asking a lot. It's time to stop buying these aggressive, and I haven't bought any silver stocks really, have I? No, I haven't. For the last week, I haven't touched anything but the silver. Like, I'm not even looking at silver stocks. I'm just looking at the royalties, which I haven't added to yet, and the seniors. Like Newmont, I added to Newmont today. Barrick, I didn't because my heaviest. Although look at Barrick right on this ascending support here. This is good level. So Barrick, Newmont, Agnico Eagle didn't buy. It's not a clear support, but this is one that I would buy. these top four seniors, Pan American Silver, I did buy. It's not at support. I just nibbled at it. Basically, Pan American Silver, Newmont, I nibbled, and SSRM, I just went extremely heavy. But the point is, I'm only hitting seniors, you know, SSRM, then Wheaton maybe, Franco Nevada, which is not on this list because I deleted it, but only well-established senior royalty, good dividend boys. I'm not getting First Majestic. I know is that such nice support. Look at that. I was mentioning it. Look at that bounce there. I can't wait to do portfolio update, but it's okay. You know, the value that it is in my portfolio, the value that it holds is still roughly within the range it's allowed to be. If it falls more, then maybe I can top it up, and I'll only do that at an identified support zone like now. But it's just worth. It's still not worth too little to justify adding to it. And honestly, in situations like this where the miners are getting destroyed, and who knows, what if the market starts to collapse? Like, oh, inflation's coming back, rates even higher, you never know. Yields and the dollar could scream, right? We don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit it. And all these little YouTubers, and I'm not talking about myself, but all these people we follow, you know, oh, everything's a steal. It's true, but of course it can go all the way up here, the 30, and make new highs. That's possible. You know, what if the dollar does something similar? What if the DXY goes all the way back up to 107 and then starts to break out to 114? Where the hell do you think miners will be if the market's collapsing? Maybe the miners start acting inversely, and that would be great. When it starts going up, it's the only thing going up. But what if it goes down like it always does? What if it leads the way down, even though they're already destroyed? You remember the COVID days where GDX was down 30% in one day? You could have some absolute, and that's when you need cash. Like you take advantage of that. Otherwise, you're just all in watching it, and then it bounces, and you think, oh my God, if only I could have added. Or just you're watching it go down, which is so bad for your mental health. But point is, markets can get absolutely smashed, and the miners can always go lower. So you've got to account for that. So anyway, I'm going on a bit of a rant, but the point is yields look strong, dollar looks strong, miners have been destroyed but can always go lower. You know, I'm not just drawing these lines because I am some freak who likes to draw straight lines. It is a potential for them to go lower, and you've got to have cash, and don't go into the crazy junior resource. I absolutely detest those now. I haven't even looked at them. I should just delete all this list of juniors because they're just illiquid frauds. And I mean, you can make 2, 3, 400% on the seniors, you know. Pan American Silver, look at that. What are we? 12? No, SSRM actually is a good one. Look at that. So I don't know. My advice, what I'm doing is I'm just sticking with the seniors and the royalties. I'm avoiding these crazy ones. I already have enough. If everything goes up, what I have in First Majestic, if it goes all the way up to 10, I've made it. Honestly, I don't need to add. Like if it goes all the way down to 3 or 2, okay, I'll add, but I'll add small amounts. So just be careful, you know, stick to the right stocks, always leave some sideline cash. It's more of a psychological play than trading skill, you could say. And yeah, just be careful out there. So sorry about that rant, but it was a crazy day. So there you are. I've added SSRM. That's the breaking news. And watch out for the dollar and the yields, and watch out for the markets, actually. Good luck.